All right, with all the FUD in the market, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, it's always good to have at least one, two, maybe even three hedges to help protect your positions. The larger the account, the more hedges you probably need to account for. Now, with that being said, most people will recommend that you take some leap put options and, the SPY, the QQQ, the NASDAQ, something like that. And those will definitely help protect you in the event of a big market correction or a crash. But you end up losing if the market stays the same or continues to go higher. So when I decide to pick hedges, I usually like to put a lot more DD into the hedge itself and choose hedges that I think will win for me, whether the market corrects, the market crashes, or even if the market, continues to stay the same or go higher, I think I will still have profitability in the long run. Now I'll go through a lot of DD with you as to the information that I've looked up and researched as far as Peloton goes, and I'll explain all of my thought processes throughout it as to why I think it's one of the best hedges on the market currently available. Now to get started, my name is Josh and this is Zero Gravity. My goal here is to inform, educate, and entertain anything financial. So if you're new to the stock market, experienced, intermediate, whatever the case is, I think you can definitely learn something, and I'd appreciate it very much if you hit the subscribe and like button. Also, if you look into the description, I did put a link to a brand new Facebook group I started. It's just an opportunity for me to be able to answer some of those easygoing questions that a lot of people may have, but they're scared to ask in other groups and stuff like that. No shame, and I'm definitely here to try to help and educate if possible. And also I like to combine a group of like-minded individuals that like to do DD and research and stuff like that, and maybe we can come up with some great ideas together on future positions and options we may take. Now, getting started here. Peloton. The reason I think this is by far one of the greatest hedge positions out there is, as many of you know, this has had a meteoric rise since COVID took over. With COVID, this thing has went from a low here of $17.20 all the way up to a high of $171. Now they definitely have made leaps and bounds as far as their sales and numbers and everything else involved as far as that goes, but there's a lot of downsides to it. And also there's a lot of other information that I've found recently and even some ongoing. When I started doing my research towards this, I had planned out this video and thought about it, and right before this I found even more information. The new information I found leads more to believe in a quicker, shorter fall like we're seeing here already. Some of this already might be accounted for in this decline here, but a lot of it you'll see results later on as well from. So starting off, one of the reasons I think this is a great hedge, I've got 4 reasons, right? Number 1, I think this is definitely an overhyped stock. I've seen multiple millionaire YouTubers posting this as, this is the stay-at-home play, and it definitely has been. There's been a lot of money made on this stay-at-home play. And now it's come to a point where the stay-at-home is ending, it's getting over, and a lot of people are saying, hey, this isn't just a stay-at-home play. We've seen the initial drop here, I think, because of the stay-at-home orders being lifted and stuff like that. But a lot of the people out there are still pumping that this is a long-term play. This is a continue growth company. Now, I'm going to go into some details as issues I see with that. Currently, we have a forward PE of 163. This thing is absolutely impressive at how many people have fallen into and supported Peloton. Now, jumping quick into here, like I said, number 1, I think this is overhyped. Number 2, I think there's definitely a ton of growing competition. Just a quick Google of stationary bikes and, click a few of these and then go check your Facebook and see how many ads will pop up. Anyways, Proform has some pretty nice stuff out, very similar. Nordic Track, Bowflex, YoHome. There's also a lot of other companies I've seen out there, the Echelon. I'm trying to remember, there was actually some weird companies I've seen on Facebook that I never even heard of. Swin's got one now. There's a lot of competition out there in this very, very small market. I don't think it's a huge market. I think it's a smaller market. And I think Peloton has the natural disadvantage as Bowflex, Nordic Track, a lot of these other companies have been in big business for a long time, and they have a lot of connections, and they have the name and the brand that carries a lot of weight when people are shopping for these equipments. So number 2 is the growing competition. Now number 3 is, I think, one of the things nobody's taken into account for is these are great on the initial sale and sell them to the initial sale and getting it out to people first. Now, there was no competition when COVID hit. This was like kind of a first of its kind, kind of a big deal. But now there's going to be a lot more competition, And we also have to start looking in and take into account for the pre-sale market. I've seen a huge significant spike in the amount of, offer up ads, Facebook ads, a lot of these other ads that are running around of people trying to sell their used Peloton bikes. They buy them, they put them in their garage, their room, whatever, they hang stuff on them, and they kind of just never use them again. Now, the good thing is, it looks like most of the people that I've seen and found so far have been trying to sell it for almost as much as they paid for it. So that's a good thing. But I definitely see, as more and more people kind of wear this trend out, more and more people will be selling them. You'll see ones in worse issues, and you'll see that price start dropping pretty quick there. Just race to the bottom to try to get rid of these things, because how many people are shopping for a pre-owned Peloton at this point, But if I was buying a brand new one, I would definitely look at a used one if it was $1,000 cheaper or so. So that's definitely something else I think we have to take into account therefore. Now, this resale market, number 4 on my list is actually looking at how to recapture business, right? So right now, Peloton has a pretty good deal where you sign up for the bicycle, and you can buy it for 0% for 39 months, whatever the case is. So you buy the bike. How do you get me to buy another bike from you? Especially when you only have 2 bikes to choose from. How are you going to recapture my business? I feel like through COVID, the majority of people who wanted Pelotons bought them. I think a lot of people who bought Peloton stock and made a lot of money bought a bike just because. Now, how do I recapture that business? How do I improve this bicycle to where people that already have them want to buy the new upgraded version? I think that's a huge, huge gap that Peloton is going to have. I think it's a hard sell. There's not a lot of upgrades and cool stuff I can do to this. They already have a monster screen on it. You guys tell me. I'm not the most knowledgeable when it comes to these bicycles like this, but how do you upgrade this thing to make a customer want to buy the newest model of it? That's one huge thing I think hurdle they're going to have to jump over. And right now they don't even have anything in the works to be able to try to recapture. The other thing, as far as what I was looking at, is the initial purchase of the thing. You got a year subscription. I'm not exactly sure. You guys can kind of quote me on this. Let me see here. Let's see if I can pop it on here. They were giving out a year free of the trials, right? So you buy the bicycle and you get the free trial for the classes and all that stuff. I wanted to say for a year is what they were doing. It's showing like 30 days now. But the other thing is, through COVID till now, it's been 1 year. So a lot of those subscriptions that people got for a year free are starting to expire. Now, $50, $60 a month isn't a ton, but that is definitely a significant amount of money. And in the event of a market crash or a huge correction, and a worsening economy, a subscription service on a home cycle is going to be one of the first things cut, especially if it's $60, $70. That's a considerable amount of money to a lot of people out there. The other new stuff that I just found out, and these are absolutely huge in the short term. So when you're looking at this with me, these are absolutely huge. So insider selling in Peloton has definitely grown. Whenever they first, came out and stuff like that, they did some insider purchases, and that gained a lot of confidence and support from the followers. Now, since then, they have been absolutely dumping their shares. Now, let's dive into it. John Callahan, director, how many shares does he currently hold now? 0. Let's go scrolling down here. That's old Callaghan there. Yeah, you'll see he's sold out completely. But look at everybody here who has sold, and then how many shares they currently hold now. They've almost dwindled it down to almost nothing. The majority of the shareholders, personnel that work for the company, have almost completely sold out of their positions, and there's only a few left over 100,000 shares. They've completely liquidated their entire portfolios in this, and that is generally a huge negative for me. Woodson Capital Management, an early buyer share, sold all theirs. They're gone. Corp Comcast, same thing, sold all theirs. They're gone. Who's this? William Lynch, president, sold all his. He's gone, right? X Cycle, gone. Howard Draft, director, gone. Sold 100% of their shares. They've liquidated everything out of the company. So something is going on internally to where they don't believe that this is going to continue to grow or continue to get better. And the more I research it, the more I agree with them. Now, I'm doing this out of my own personal opinion and ideas, so please don't take anything to offense if you're a diehard Peloton fan or anything like that. I'm not trying to absolutely beat them down. I'm just explaining as to why I think this is a great hedge, and I think it's a great short opportunity. I'm not taking it as a short opportunity. I'm going to buy some leaps, kind of far out of the money put options on it myself personally, and that's just to help protect some of my other portfolios in the event of a crash. Because like I said, I think those subscription services on a home cycle will be one of the first things cut, as well as, you know, selling these bicycles in general. Because if you have a, you know, a $79, $100 bicycle note and you lose your job, you're probably going to try to sell it for what you owe it for. And I think that's what a lot of those ads we're seeing is people trying to sell it for what they owe on it still. And then the last thing here, this is huge, huge, huge. If you're a parent and you're a kid, and this has been on CBS, ABS, or ABC, everybody, feds are warning to stop using Peloton treadmills immediately. So half of their business is completely stopped right now. And they actually have this video in here, and I'm gonna play it for you guys. It does look pretty bad, but I want you to know up front, the kid is not hurt. He is okay, he's fine. But there has been a child that has died from this. So I'm gonna play this video here real quick for you guys, and you just kind of watch it with me as we go through here. It can be disturbing, so just remember that. But it's fine. He's doesn't truly get hurt. It looks a lot worse than what it is. But so you have some kids here playing on a Peloton. They probably should not be playing on that. I agree 100%. And the fact that they're playing on it while it's running and the parents don't appear to be around, that's a different thing. But this kid is literally wedged under this thing right now, and the belt has stopped spinning, but it's holding him there, and he's stuck. He ends up getting out of it, good, but then it acts almost like a track on a snowmobile or something, you know. It literally pulls this kid underneath it, and I guess it's light enough to where it can just pull up over him, and it's on top of him. So like I said, this kid is okay. It's pretty scary though for a parent. If you're watching that, it makes you really worried. And I think there's some huge flaws you'll see immediately in there. One is I'm wondering, oh my gosh, let me close this out. One I'm wondering is why there's no underneath protection on there. Because if you were to put this in a carpeted room or something like that, you got that spinning, you could, honestly, you could start a fire. I know it's not a high probability, but it could start a fire. You put this on a shag rug or something like that in your bedroom, you know, that's a hazard there. Number two is for stuff like this. Your foot, something like that, gets slipped under there and the treadmill jumps up you. It's a pretty light, so it seemed like they would have some kind of underneath protection or plate there to keep that from happening. And that seems like a simple, you know, thought process when they were probably building these things that they should have put together. But anyways, I think this is really bad news for them on the treadmill side. So their treadmill business will probably be, you know, drastically halted or almost stopped at this point. So then they go back to having only the cycles and the accessories that they're selling with the cycles. So I think there's a huge opportunity here. I really do. Now, as I was saying, I think there's definitely a huge opportunity here for the downside on this, based on just, you know, all those different factors kind of hitting together. And I didn't even go over, you know, all of these that they've sold that are currently on loans. They're financed through a firm, so generally they lose a percentage of their profit, and the firm, you know, takes that as reward, I think. So I don't think if all the loans start defaulting, I don't think it's a bad thing on them. But in the event of a crash, I don't know how much is going to come back liability-wise on them from all those 0% loans if they have to go and start recovering these and stuff like that. But anyways, based on the huge PE on this currently, the bad news recently, and the overall, you know, increasingly aggressive market for these, I think there's a lot more downside than there is upside on this. And I think in the event of a crash, this will be one of the first ones that kind of drops quickly. And as you can see, $17 to 107 right now. There's definitely a lot of room for some downward movement, and I think it's kind of a safe position. So like I said, I'll probably be buying some puts, you know, leaps, you know, 6 months, a year out, something like that. A little bit out of the money. I'll probably be looking at like the $80 range, $60 range, you know, depending on the pricing and stuff like that. I'll play around with it. I usually, when I do the hedges, I don't buy them all together. I'll buy a few kind of spread out, allotted through time, because if this takes a huge swing down, I might cut a couple of those go, hang on to one or two, just depending on how much time is left. But I appreciate it. If you've made it this far, you are amazing. Please hit that like and subscribe button for me. I appreciate having you here. Join my Facebook group. Promise will be nice. As soon as I hit 1,000 subscribers, I plan on using some of this monetization and stuff from this thing to give back to the community and help us grow as individuals. I appreciate it very much. Sorry for the voice. I'm getting over a cold. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time.